Hello and welcome to today's Library Adventures Live. My name's Jude. I'm a librarian for Kirklees Libraries. How are you today? I know when I got up this morning, I was kind of a little bit chilly. Well, I guess it's December, so what do we expect? But I put on this really big, cozy, warm scarf for today just to keep me nice and warm. So I hope wherever you are that you're all warm and cozy too. So, the last time I was here presenting Library Adventures Live, I had the privilege of welcoming Nadine Kadan to Lal, and she read from her picture book called Tomorrow. She read in both English and Arabic. It was such a treat, and I also got to learn how to say hello in Arabic. Now, I don't know whether you know, but Nadine has been chosen to be on the BBC, I'm just going to get the banner up, the BBC 100 Women 2020 list. Now, that's a list of inspirational and influential women from around the world for the year 2020. And you can follow details about the BBC 100 Women by following the tag on Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook. So it's at BBC 100 Women. There's all sorts of fascinating, talented people there and all sorts of events too. Now, if you didn't see Nadine's Library Adventures Live when we did it live way back in October this year, then you can pop along to kirkleeslibraries.co.uk/LAL. That's where we keep all our recorded videos of past LAL events. So go and have a look. I know I'm going to go watch it again. So, and also, if you want to find out a little bit more about Nadine and what she's up to do with BBC 100 Women, you can go to her Instagram account at Nadine_Kadan and you can see her illustrations and some picture books that she's doing there. Okay, so last week, oh yes, last week was fantastic, wasn't it? We welcomed Nick Sharratt and Katrina Sharman to Lal. And what an amazing time we had. There was singing and drawing, competitions, and loads of fun. And I don't know about you, but I spotted a whale on a bus. I spotted a baboon in a balloon and I spotted a tiger on a glider. Did you see any of those? It was great, wasn't it? We also learned how to draw a pirate parrot and a friendly, that's an important word to put in there, a friendly fire-eating dragon. Yeah, so we got to learn how to draw those. And again, if you didn't get a chance to draw along with Nick Sharratt, you can go to kirkleeslibraries.co.uk/LAL, watch again and do loads of drawings. You can also send them through to us. I'll just get our email address up. It is in here somewhere. So sorry to keep you waiting. I know it's lal@kirklees.gov.uk. You can send your drawings through to us because we always love to see anybody's drawings and we can put them on our website to join all the others. Oh, and I will just tell you one more thing about Nick. So if you listen carefully to last week's Lal, you'll be able to find out what biscuit makes Nick Sharratt smile. So many biscuits to choose from as well, hey? I'm not sure what biscuits I'd choose to say makes me smile. And we got to meet Katrina. Now, Katrina's a children's author and she writes the words and Nick Sharratt illustrates them. But Katrina's also a school librarian. And of course, being a librarian myself, I think that's such a cool job. She talks about her love of writing and how she got into writing. She started writing from a very young age, so maybe even younger than you. I know 100% younger than me. That's not too difficult, is it? It's very inspiring to watch. Plus, you can borrow some ebooks of Nick Sharratt and Katrina Chalmers' books from our Kirklees Overdrive site, and you can borrow ebooks there. Both Nick and Katrina's books, but there's hundreds more to choose from. So you get yourself cozy and get reading some books, but not till after we've watched today's Library Adventures Live. So before we get started today and meet our two wonderful authors that are coming on today, I'd like to just say, if you've got any questions or comments that you want to share with us, just go into the Facebook, Twitter or YouTube chat box, wherever you're watching this live, and just type away, send your comments or questions to us, and they'll fly over live. We'll be able to see them and we'll be able to answer them as we go along as well. Super looking forward to hearing from you. And if you're a school and you're watching, do tell us that you're watching live and we'll give you a great big shout out to say hi, because again, we love to know where people are watching from. Now, today's adventure is going to be with Katie and Kevin Tsang. And they are authors of the amazing Sam Wu Is Not Afraid of books. I just finished this one last night, and this one is about, yeah, I guess you can guess it from the front cover. And they're going to talk all about the super Sam Wu and what is not afraid of today. So let's welcome Katie and Kevin Tsang into Library Adventures Live.
Hi.
Hello,
Hi.
hello.
Thank you so much for having us, Jude. We're very excited to be
It's
here.
my pleasure. It's so lovely to have you here, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what you've got planned for us today. So before you start telling us that, I'm just going to say bye, and I'm going to disappear for a little while, and I'm going to be watching out for all the questions and comments that we'll have coming through, and I'll probably see you both a bit later. Is that okay?
Yeah, wonderful.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you very much. See you soon.
Well, thank you again, everyone, for watching. I'm Katie Tsang.
And I'm Kevin Tsang.
And we are the authors of Sam Wu.
So we are going to...
Do you want to talk about space?
Oh, yes, of course. So we're going to be talking to you today about Sam's latest adventure, Sam Wu Is Not Afraid of Space, where he goes on what I think is his most exciting adventure yet, to space camp.
And to let you guys know how this is going to go today, Kevin and I are going to share with you a presentation. We're going to talk a little bit about Sam Wu. We're going to talk a little bit about ourselves, about how we write, tell you a little bit about some of the characters. We're going to do a reading. Then we're going to do kind of a joint activity with anyone watching and with each other. And then we're going to do another reading, and then there'll be time for questions. So hopefully that sounds okay. We'll go ahead and share our screen. Here we go. Great. And Kevin, you want to go ahead and make that? Ta-da!
Alrighty. So there are 6 books in the series, starting with Sam Wu Is Not Afraid of Ghosts, and then he faces sharks, the dark, spiders, zombies, and then most recently, space, which is what we'll be talking about today.
And just so you know, the books can be read in any order. So say today you want to start with space, you absolutely can. But if you really love sharks or spiders, you can start with sharks or spiders. And as I said, you can read them individually and in any order. But we really hope you enjoy getting to know Sam Wu and helping him face his various things that he is not afraid of. So a little bit about us. I'm sure you can tell by our accents, we are not originally from England. I'm originally from Southern California.
And I'm actually from Atlanta, Georgia, but I was born in Denmark and Copenhagen, and my parents are from Hong Kong. So a bit all over.
And Kevin and I actually met studying abroad in Hong Kong over 12 years ago. We're old now. And now we are married and have a baby. And we also obviously write books together. And we have been able to travel all over the world when we were living in Asia and we lived in America and then, of course, here. And we've done lots of things that Sam Wu would definitely be afraid of. Like we've seen lions in Africa and ridden elephants in Thailand and climbed really tall mountains. And we found inspiration for our books all over the world. But I'd really like to encourage anyone watching that you can find inspiration for your writing. You don't need to go all over, all over the world, especially right now. It's kind of tricky to be traveling, but you can find inspiration at your local park or your library, maybe even just sitting in your kitchen. Writing is all about noticing things and kind of finding inspiration in different places.
Yeah, 100% agree. And definitely that's what we do. So we do find inspiration from all of our travels, but even just, our everyday lives.
So we want to talk to you guys a little bit about how we write together. So obviously there are 2 of us, but just one book. So we had to work out lots of ways that we could write collaboratively. And so collaborating just means working together. So one of the things that we like to do is we put whiteboard paper up all over our house. You can see on this picture, and we start thinking about characters and plot.
yes, what the story is going to be. What are the personality traits of the main characters? Who are his friends? What's his family? So we have all of these questions that we basically put up onto our board and answer. And that this is before we write a single word on the page. So we spend so much time just making sure we have the same vision for the book and the same idea of what's going to happen in the story before we actually start writing.
In a little while, we will do a kind of brainstorming activity all together to give you an idea of how we come up with new stories. So about Sam Wu, who is the hero of our series. Sam Wu loves more than anything a show called Space Blasters. So here he is in the middle, dressed up in his as his favorite character, Spaceman Jack from his favorite show, Space Blasters, which you'll also find out more about when you read the books. Over on the side, he is wrapped in tinfoil, and that's a scene from Sam Wu is Not Afraid of Ghosts. So you'll have to read that one to find out why Sam Wu has wrapped himself in tinfoil. And then here he is also being chased by his little sister's cat, Butterbutt, who you'll find out a little bit more about as well. Now, Sam, as I'm sure you can tell from the name of the series, is not afraid, but I'm sure you probably know that means he does have quite a few fears, but with the help of his friends and family, he is able to face all of his various fears.
Yes, and because Space Blasters is his favorite show, he is so excited about Space Camp, which is why this last book is so exciting for Sam.
You want to tell you a little bit about Sam's friends and family?
Yes, so these are the two folks on the left are Sam's closest friends. So there's Zoe, who is the fastest person in Sam's grade, and then there's Bernard, who is the smartest person in Sam's grade. And then all the way on the right, that's Sam's little sister, Lucy, holding their cat. And Lucy is actually probably the bravest person in the book. She is pretty fearless. Although Sam would say he's fearless too.
So Zoe and Bernard and often Lucy help Sam on all of his various adventures. And then in this book, you're going to meet some other new characters who we don't have their character cards up yet, but Ralph and Regina, who are twin brother and sister. Now, Ralph and Sam have kind of a complicated friendship, but they end up together at Space Camp, as you'll hear more. And then there's also a brand new character who we created for this new book named Sally. So two other key characters who are referenced often, again, are Butterbutt, which is the name of Sam's sister's cat, and Sam's pet snake, Fang, who we reference in the book, but you will to find out how Sam came to own a snake named Fang. That is in Sam Wu is Not Afraid of Ghosts. So we want to talk to you a little bit about Sam Wu is Not Afraid of Space. This one, we actually had to do quite a lot of research because we wanted to make sure we got Space Camp absolutely right.
That's right. And so this is just a sneak peek of what Space Camp actually looks like and how cool does this look. I know growing up, going to Space Camp was actually like my number one dream. And so it was so fun doing all of this research. So what you're seeing here is an actual space camp that you can go to, and you can see the kids on the left going in simulators of all sorts to simulate being in space.
Yeah, so we literally had to sit down and we looked up real things that real kids would do at Space Camp. Now, the different books require different amounts of research. So, for example, when we did Sam Wu is Not Afraid of Sharks, we looked up all kinds of shark facts. Similarly, with Sam Wu is Not Afraid of spiders, we looked up all kinds of spider facts. But space, we wanted to have, like I said, real life space camp. And so it would really feel like for anyone reading along that they were also at Space Camp. And like Kevin said, he'd always wanted to go to Space Camp as a kid, and he never got a chance to. So
it was so much fun doing all the research.
Yeah, and kind of bringing Sam to Space Camp because it's somewhere that he's wanted to go throughout the entire series, and he finally gets to go in this 6th book. A little bit more about some of the research we did at Space Camp. So not only did we want to have kind of what it would look like, we also wanted to have some of the activities that they would do here. So here is a multi-axis trainer in the middle here. And what that is that simulates what it feels like it to be without gravity. And then also, if you were in a spaceship that was taking off. And then over here, this is the space chair. And this is where you can go in any direction, again, to kind of help you feel like what that would be like. And then this kind of hopping one is another one to feel like what it would be like if you were to walk on the moon. So we will be talking a little bit more about these various ones. So next, we're going to do a reading. What we're going to do is we're going to, hopefully you can still see our faces and obviously hear us. But because this has excellent illustrations by Nathan Reed, I don't believe we forgot to mention Nathan, our illustrator.
Oh, yes. Love, love, love Nathan. We are so lucky to have him.
Yeah, so Nathan does all of the illustrations and the covers. So we want to make sure that you can enjoy the illustrations. So we've actually got the pages up here, and you can read along with us as we go, or you can just listen or look at the illustrations. And Kevin is going to get us started. So what's happening here in this chapter is Sam and his friends are at space camp, and they are about to have their first proper meal. And again, it's Sam, Ralph and Regina, Bernard, and as well as Zoe and Sally. So Kevin, you want to go ahead and get started and I'll click through?
Yes. I was really glad it was lunchtime. I hadn't had anything to eat since breakfast at home, which seemed like a million years ago. I wonder what we'll get for lunch, I said. I suddenly noticed there weren't any forks and knives on the table, or plates. Well, what do they eat in space? Said Regina. Bernard scrunched his face up. Sam, didn't you say once that they eat food from tubes in space? Like spaghetti and meatballs blended up and put in a tube? Like baby food? Asked Zoe. There's no way I'm eating food from a tube, said Ralph. It hadn't occurred to me that we might be getting real space food. Good afternoon, everyone, said Commander Margaret from the back. I'm hearing lots of chit-chat about what we might be having for lunch. She held up a green tube that looked like a tube of paint. Well, this is your first course. Ralph turned the same shade of green as the tube. I'm not telling you what it is or what the second course is either. She held up another tube. That one was orange. Or your third. She held up one that was kind of a grayish white. Or any of them. For your first challenge, we want to see if you can tell what kind of food is in each tube. Space food is getting more and more advanced, added Commander West. But food tubes with the right amount of nutrients are still one of the best ways to make sure that astronauts get everything they need, and in a convenient, on-the-go package. Not wasting food is also very important in space. Everything is perfectly measured out for the essential length of the mission, said Commander Sharon. Although one time, a pizza was delivered to the International Space Station. The pizza was set up on board a resupply rocket.
This is a real thing that actually happened in 2001. Pizza was actually sent up to space.
We all laughed, imagining pizza going up to space. But for the challenge today, everything is in space food tubes. Each team will get a full meal, and the team who correctly identifies the most ingredients and finishes their space meals wins, said Commander Margaret. My stomach growled again. I was hungry enough that even space food in a tube sounded good. One of the space camp staff handed out 6 tubes to each of the tables and a sheet of paper to write down our answers. 3 tubes were brightly colored, orange, yellow, and green, but the other 3 were indistinct mush colors, gray, white, and a kind of sludge brown. We stared at the tubes. I decided to take charge. It's what Spaceman Jack would do, after all. Who wants what color, I said.
This is gross, said Ralph. I don't want to eat anything that comes from a tube. Ralph, stop being such a brat about it, said his sister Regina. And you've had food from a tube. Ketchup comes from a tube. And you love ketchup. As Ralph's twin sister, she was the only one who knew how to put Ralph in his place. On my hot dogs, I don't want to eat an entire tube of ketchup, Ralph said. But he grudgingly reached out and took the yellow tube. I'll try this one. It looks the most normal. Zoe took green and Regina took orange. That left me, Bernard, and Sally with the mush-colored ones. Maybe this one is chocolate, Bernard said, hopefully taking the brownish one. You better hope it's chocolate, said Ralph, eyeing it suspiciously. I turned to Sally and held out the gray and white tubes. Which one do you want? I'm not eating any of that, she said, holding her nose. Ew. But that's the challenge, I said, trying not to get frustrated. Who cares, she said, crossing her arms. I care, I shouted. The team next to us looked over, and I quickly sat down. I mean, it would be nice if you just tried it, I said in my normal voice. Does everyone have their space food tubes? Said Commander Margaret from the front. Each team must write down what they think the foods are. When you're confident you have them right and have finished the tubes, the whole team must raise their hands. The first team to correctly identify all the food wins. Remember, this is only the first challenge, but every point counts. Are there any questions? I had about 1 million questions, but everyone else in the canteen was shaking their head, so I shook my head too. On the count of 3, we'll begin. 1, 2, 3. Bernard squirted almost half the contents of his tube into his mouth before I'd even opened mine. Definitely not chocolate, he said, brown coating his lips. He smacked his lips. Beans! It's black beans! Are you sure? I asked. Positive, he said. He took another slurp. Not bad either. I squeezed my tube into my mouth. It was strangely familiar. And then it hit me. It tasted like the fish balls my nana, that's my grandma, makes and puts in noodle soup. Fish! I've got fish, I said. Ugh, I'm glad you got that one and not me, said Ralph, who still hadn't opened his yellow tube. You have to try your tube, I said. Ralph slowly unscrewed the top. Mine's sweet potato, said Regina. I think I had broccoli, said Zoe. Hesitantly squirting the green tube into her mouth, she made a face. Yep, definitely broccoli. We're on a roll, I said, hopping up and down with excitement as I wrote down all our answers. Ralph? Corn, he said. Are you sure? I asked. Of course I'm sure, he said. I told you I'm always sure. Yeah, but the last time you said that, you let us into Felix's room, said Bernard, who was finishing off his tube of black beans. He had it smeared all over his face. Well, this time I'm extra sure, said Ralph. We've almost got it, I said. Sally? Sally's white tube lay untouched in front of her on the table. Come on, Sally, I said. You have to try it. I don't have to do anything, she said, but she unscrewed the top of her tube. You can do it, I said in what I hoped was an encouraging manner. Sally stared directly at me and slowly pointed the tube in the same direction. Time seemed to go in slow motion. No! I shouted as she squeezed the entire tube of white goop out at me, hitting me straight in the face. Team Blue, shouted Commander West. What is going on? Chicken, I shouted because some of it had got in my mouth. It's definitely chicken. Quick, somebody write it down. Team Blue is disqualified for wasting food, said Commander West. It is imperative that food is not wasted on a spaceship. No, shouted everyone on our team except Sally, who looked infuriatingly pleased with herself. But we had all the right answers, I said, wiping chicken goop out of my eyebrow. You need to get cleaned up, cadet, said Commander Margaret. And you, she looked at Sally, you are coming with me. This is what happens when you let little kids come to space camp, said Felix snootily from his table. Commander West, we've got all the right answers, and we didn't start a food fight. Commander West reviewed the answers from Felix's team and nodded. Team Red wins the space food challenge, he announced. I felt something rising up in my chest and throat all the way up to my eyes. I wouldn't cry. I wouldn't. I blinked as fast as I could. Got some chicken in my eye, I muttered. Bernard, could you pass me a napkin? You've got it, Captain Sam, said Bernard. You're still a great captain, whispered Regina. It isn't your fault Sally decided to stage a mutiny. I can't believe she squeezed the whole tube on you, said Ralph, sounding a little bit impressed. We still got 3 more challenges, said Zoe. We can still be space camp champions. Even though I was covered in tube chicken goop, I smiled at my friends. They were right. We couldn't give up now. As Spaceman Jack always says, when things get tough, the only option is to get tougher. I decided I wasn't going to let Sally ruin space camp. But little did I know, she was about to be the last of my worries. So that is one of the chapters from Sam Wu is Not Afraid of Space that we had so much fun writing. Would you eat tube from a food? Or food from a tube?
I think I would. If I were at space camp, I definitely would. Maybe not at home in my kitchen.
So that's one of the challenges. Sam Wu's Not Afraid of Space, while they're at space camp, Sam and his team, they're all competing with other teams to win the space camp trophy. But some spooky things start happening at space camp, and they become convinced that there's a ghost, maybe aliens. So on top of facing fears like being far from home and experiencing new things, they're just dealing with a lot, including getting sprayed with chicken goop from a tube.
I felt so bad for Sam when that happened.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we wrote it, so we made it happen. But so now what we're going to do is we're going to show you how we come up with a concept of coming up with a new idea. So what we thought would be nice for anyone who's watching, and we can also chat amongst ourselves, we wanted to start by doing a brainstorm of different things that people could be afraid of. So do you want to write down or should I?
Yeah. So we've got some paper here, and we'll be writing down as we do when we plan.
Yeah. So I think we could kind of get started, Kev, and start thinking of things. Let's try to think of things that might not already have Sam Wu books. So I say, what about lions?
Ooh, lions are scary.
All right.
What about evil goats?
Evil goats? I love it. Again, if you're watching and if you have a suggestion, please feel free to put it in the comments.
Or stingrays.
Stingrays. Hey, Jude.
Hi. I hope you don't mind me popping up to join you, but I've had a few come through to me about things that people might be afraid of, and they're quite varied. So when you're ready, I'll be able to.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, okay, right. So we have, well, I'm going to admit to this, but when I read about Sam Wu's pet snake, Fang, I'm sure it's a lovely snake, but snakes to me, oh, I get a little bit scared of snakes, but I'm sure Sam Wu would be able to tell me that it's okay to kind of go near Fang. So for me, it's snakes. We've also got creepy crawlers.
Ooh.
And we've also got quite an unusual one. I know I'm not afraid of this, but I know that people get afraid of lots of different things. We have someone who's afraid of glitter.
Glitter.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm afraid of the mess that glitter makes. So
Yeah.
I can understand that. All right, what about volcanoes?
Oh, I like volcanoes as well.
Ooh, and that goes into massive rolling boulders.
Oh,
With the volcanoes quite nicely.
never had massive.
That is a first.
Someone has just said they have someone who's afraid of buttons. So let's put buttons. That reminds me a little bit. Kevin and I, in addition to writing Sam Wu, we write a series called The Dragon Realm about dragons, and we have a dragon who actually loves buttons, and his name is Buttons. So lots about buttons. Ooh, heights. We've got heights through. I'm actually probably a little afraid of heights. I don't like standing on ladders or on the edge of cliffs. You know what? Actually, I think I would be a little afraid of octopus. Octopi.
Oh, really?
I don't know. Just imagining being in the ocean and like
suck.
Yeah,
Suction, like...
yeah. They're just, and they're very smart too. So
apparently they can solve puzzles. Octopuses.
I'm also allergic to octopus, so I can't eat them. Ooh, sharks is one.
I am actually terrified of sharks.
I think they're coming in fast and furious now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to jump out again and leave you to carry on. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. I think what this does show, though, is, all fears are, there are all sorts of things that I know I have many fears. And so it's, everyone has their own fears, and that's okay.
Yeah. And so speaking of sharks, so Kevin and I one time were swimming in a river, an inland river that didn't connect to the ocean. And Kevin is a faster swimmer than me. And all of a sudden, he just took off and he left me. And he said, what if there was a shark in the river? And I was like, then it would have eaten me. But luckily, there was no shark. But I
was just testing the waters in front of us is actually what I was doing.
Being very, very brave.
Being very brave.
To be fair, I also wouldn't want to swim on top of a shark. What else are things anything? I don't love rats.
Ooh, you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay with it depends on the size and also the context.
I feel like if I were to drop a giant rat down your back, you would not like that.
Oh my gosh, I would not like that. That context, I would be very afraid.
We've got a pretty good list here. Maybe we'll come up with a few more, Kev.
Yeah, this is a great list. How about I just read through them? So we have lions, evil goats, stingrays, snakes, creepy crawlers, glitter, volcanoes, massive rolling boulders, buttons, heights, octopi, octopus, sharks, and rats.
So now what we'll do, so like in Sam Wu, as I was saying, so there's always kind of one key fear, but then Sam faces various things as well. So what I thought might be fun is if we were to combine, I do this part, a few of our fears together to kind of make sense. Now what we're doing now all together is we're not actually coming up with a new Sam Wu book, we're coming up with our own story. And I'd really like to encourage anyone who's watching or any teachers or librarians, to kind of build off of this later if you want to kind of create your own story or kind of start by brainstorming a list of fears. Coming up with a whole story can be really intimidating, but we love to do it in a way of kind of just step by step. So again, first a list of fears, and then we go from there. So
and what's amazing, just to add to that, is I love working with books with Katie, because we always come up with something I never would have thought we could have created. And it's because we bounce ideas off of each other and we think a bit differently, and so the outcome's always greater than the sum of the parts.
So I think we should combine glitter, volcanoes, snakes.
I like the massive rolling boulders.
All right, massive rolling boulders, snakes, and octopus. So here's what I'm thinking. I think that it's the volcano that sprays glitter, but not just any glitter, like fiery glitter. So it's in a volcano that sprays fiery glitter, and it's got snakes that live in it. So also when it explodes, imagine a volcano shooting out glitter and snakes. I want to work in it. And then obviously there's massive falling boulders because they would roll down a volcano, and they're not any regular kind of massive falling boulders. They're actually octopuses all wrapped up. And then as they roll, they like shoot out all their legs.
That is terrifying.
Yeah. So we've got, anyway, so we just came up with this all like literally right now.
So a volcano that shoots glitter and boulders, and actually the boulders are octopus that let them expand out and attack.
I think our octopus and our snakes are maybe at battle. So like maybe some of the falling boulders are actually giant balls of snakes that then they like unroll as well. And so you don't know when you see one if it's an octopus arm or if it's a snake. And again, it's also glitter. So like imagine like being in like a room full up to your waist of glitter, and then there's snakes like slithering through it. Ugh.
That's scary.
Yeah.
I wish Nathan was also here so he could draw just the perfect picture of this.
Unfortunately, Kevin and I are not excellent drawers. We thought maybe we could be, and when we first came up with the idea for Sam Woo, and we sat down and we tried to draw, and you know, I do think anyone can be an illustrator, but it was not our strong suit. So again, I'd really like to encourage anyone who's watching now or later to try and draw their own as well. All right, so this is what we've got for our start. We've got glitter snake volcano.
Forget about the octopus.
Yeah, I know, but I'm calling it glitter snake volcano. And then now what we need, so we've got kind of a setting and our fears. Now we need some key characters. So are our characters kids or grown-ups?
I think we should have kids as the main characters.
I agree.
I also think we could maybe have like a couple different settings. So this is definitely the main setting, but maybe the kids, the main characters, and let's talk about who they are. But also maybe they're in a normal setting to start the story, like school.
Okay, so they're at school, and somehow they're going to have to get to Glitter Snake Volcano, also with the octopus. Maybe the octopus aren't evil. Maybe the octopus are good.
I really like octopus.
All right, so we have
They're
evil
smart.
glitter snakes, and we have our octopuses who are going to be on the team of our kids. So I think our kids, maybe we have 3.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Are they friends? Are they siblings?
Maybe we have they're 3 friends.
All right, so we have 3 friends. So we have 3 friends together, and we'll do 2 girls and a boy.
Yeah, I like that.
And I like your idea that they start up at school. So how do they get from school to Glitter Snake Volcano?
I don't know. Maybe there's definitely some sort of portal.
Ooh.
And they fall through somehow. Or there's a time machine.
Mm-hmm.
That's some ideas.
I know those are ideas, but Kevin, this is literally how Kevin and I write our books. But remember, you have to make everything make sense. You can't just So talk me through how that works.
Okay,
I don't think
they're in the playground. They're in the playground.
I just don't think that a time machine.
Not a time machine. Maybe definitely a portal. Maybe they're in the playground, and one of the kids is really adventurous and a bit mischievous, and there's a forest behind the school. Yeah, and so one day during timeout, or when they're playing in the playground.
It's not timeout. Timeout's when you're in trouble.
Okay, well, one day during playtime, break, they go into the forest and they find mushrooms, and they touch the mushrooms, and then they go and they're transported onto the volcano. What do you think?
I don't think that makes sense. So
okay,
I just don't understand. Those things aren't connected. And remember, we're showing that with story, you can do whatever you want, but you have to make it make sense. So I think it makes more sense that maybe instead they're in science class and they have to make their own volcano, and they're using glitter, and they get shrunk really tiny. And then it comes to, and there's also a snake in their science classroom, and the snake also gets shrunk and then multiplied.
Whoa, I like this idea. Way better.
I mean, it just makes more sense. So when Kevin and I have to write together, this is how it works. We both come up with different ideas, and then we have to discuss them. And we have to, and we have a rule. There's no bad ideas. So, even if Kevin says something that I don't like, or if he says something, or I say something he doesn't like, we talk through it and try to make sure that we can work it all out into the story. So we've got our kids, and they're tiny, and they're in Glitter Snake Volcano. And then we'll figure out where the octopus comes in. I think they ride the back of the octopus. So now what we have to figure out, now that we have our setting and our characters, the next thing we do is we have to think about what their goal is. So any book, you're going to have your characters and they're also going to have goals. So what do we think? I think their goal is to survive and not be eaten by the glitter snake. And to do that, and also they're going to have to figure out a way to get back big size and back to their real life. I think the octopus is going to help them.
I think the octopus are definitely, they're going to be they're going to save the day for sure. I think, yeah, their goal is to get back home, I would think.
Yeah, goal is to get back home, goal is to survive, and they're going to have a pretty exciting adventure while they go on it. So as you can see, like Kevin and I just did that just from coming up with starting with a list of fears and then combining them in a way that we thought was fun and then going from there. And we could have done anything with this. I mean, we could have gone, what if we had chosen a lion and evil goats and buttons? That would have been a totally different story. I actually like the idea of lions and evil goats.
Ooh, and I like buttons too. Maybe the lion would have like a waistcoat, like, and there's like buttons on the waistcoat.
I was going to say maybe our evil goat actually has buttons for eyes.
Well, that's actually scary.
Yeah, that would be really scary. And it's coming, and it works with, maybe we've got creepy crawlers too. I don't know. Like I said, so as you can see, there's the best part about writing is you can come up with anything, again, as long as you make it make sense in the rule.
It made perfect sense.
In the rule that you're in, world that you're in, and you can go any direction you want. So it's really up to you and your imagination. So it's pretty exciting.
I like that story.
I do too. I want to work in a glitter snake volcano into another future book. I feel like
by the end of the story, Glitter Snake Volcano is actually a really fun place.
Oh, glitter snake volcanoes where people like to go. They change it from somewhere being evil and scary to fun and exciting. I like that. I think Sam Wu would be very afraid of Glitter Snake Volcano, though.
I think anyone would really be afraid until they find out actually what a fun place it is.
Yeah. We actually a lot of times when we do this event, we do it in front of live audience. I wish we could be here. I know we're live now, but in front of people. And one of the suggestions we get a lot of is amusement parks. And I think an amusement park is always a really great setting because you can have it be, maybe an old abandoned one that feels haunted. We've had amusement parks on the moon. We've had floating ones over an ocean. So again, one of the best ways to kind of get your creative juices flowing is to make a list and to start combining things that you might not think go together, like an amusement park on the moon. All right, we're going to go back to our sharing screen now. Oh, we're getting some questions in. Excellent. We'll come to those at the end when we do our questions. But I hope you guys like our just kind of on the fly story. Again, actually sitting down and writing the story takes a little more time, but this is how Kevin and I start working. We just brainstorm and we write things down. All right, so we're going to go share screen. Great. So we are going to do another reading for you guys. This reading is still from Sam Wu is Not Afraid of Space. And what's happening here, you want to go to the next slide. So this actually, again, like we told you earlier, we wanted to make sure that we put Sam Wu in real life places from Space Camp. And one of the things that I was the most excited about going in is a multi-axis trainer. And it's a machine that real astronauts use, and it's to help you feel like you're going into space and be prepared for zero gravity. So here's a real picture of what it looks like. And then we'll start the reading now. So I'm actually going to start a page before this one, so I'll go back. So this is chapter 12, Take a Spin in Space. The next day, it was time for the activity I was most looking forward to, but also the one I was just a little bit nervous about. Going for a spin in the multi-axis trainer. It's a machine that real astronauts use to prepare for going up into space. It's made of 3 interlocking rings, and the astronaut is strapped in the middle, almost like going inside a giant hamster wheel that spins in every possible direction. It helps prepare the astronauts to be in zero gravity and how to orient themselves no matter what direction they're flying in. Now, said Commander Margaret, I'd like to remind you all that this isn't one of the challenges. We just want each of you to have a chance to experience the multi-axis trainer, just like real astronauts. Everyone will have a turn. And so then the group decides who they want to go first. Sam says, I'll go last, I said. Is it because you're scared? Said Ralph. And then I remembered why he had been my nemesis for so long. It was like he was deliberately forgetting how nice I'd been to him yesterday. No, it's because I'm a good captain and letting my team experience things first, I said. That's really nice of you, Sam, said Regina. I still think you're scared, grinned Ralph. I wasn't. At least I wasn't very scared. Although, if I had known what was going to happen when I went on, I might have been a little bit more scared. This thing actually looks cool, said Sally, staring at the giant interlocking circles. I'm worried I might throw up, said Bernard. You won't throw up, said Commander West. How do you know? Same way I know anything else. Science. Because your stomach remains centered, you won't feel nauseated. And because the multi-axis trainer doesn't spin more than twice a row in the same direction, your inner ear fluid doesn't shift, so you won't even get dizzy. That's a real fact as well. That's actually how it happens in real space camp. Bernard nodded. Facts always reassure him. I watched as one at a time my friends each took a turn on the multi-axis trainer. There were even more seatbelts on this one than on the 5 Degrees of Freedom simulator, aka the space chair, because the multi-axis trainer went upside down and spun all around. Every time someone went on it, they looked super scared at the start and super excited at the end. I hoped it would be the same way for me. Do you want to go?
I couldn't decide if it was taking forever while I waited, or it was going too fast, but I definitely didn't feel ready when it was my turn. Even though Commander West had said that the multi-access trainer wouldn't make us throw up, my stomach was already jumping up and down inside me before I even got on it. The last thing I needed was another incident on the space simulator.
You'll have to read book 1 to find out what that incident was. There's a little hint at the bottom.
I swallowed as hard as I could, trying to get my stomach to go back to where it belonged, out of my throat. The helmet felt extra tight on my head, and my hands were so sweaty it was hard for me to hold on to the handles. As Commander West strapped me in, I asked him to double-check all the buckles, just in case. He laughed and said safety was always the first priority at space camp, but that he'd check just for me. And then I was in, and it started spinning and spinning. And I didn't know which way was up or which way was down, and everything around me was a blur, and it was awesome. Woohoo! I yelled, and I thought I heard my friends laughing. Not at me in a mean way, but with me in a happy way. But I was going so fast I couldn't tell. I thought maybe I really could be an astronaut one day. And then I thought about how proud Spaceman Jack and Captain Jane would be of me. And then, darkness. Total, complete darkness.
Wow! And to find out what happens next, you'll have to read Sam Wu is Not Afraid of Space. Go ahead and stop sharing now. I think I would be really scared to go in a multi-access trainer.
I think I would love it. I don't think I'd love it if the lights turned out, but and I was plunged into complete darkness. But it sounds very fun.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I would be very, very scared. I do like roller coasters, though. But how cool is that that's a real thing that you can go on in space camp? Now I think we will go to questions. I know Jude has some questions for us. We want to make sure we have time to answer any that came through.
Hi again. Yeah, we've got lots of questions coming through. We had one comment that was really early on that I just wanted to share because I thought it was lovely. Can't wait for Katie and Kevin listening to Sam Wu on library audiobook. So they're already listening to Sam Wu before you came on screen, which is fantastic.
That's great.
So,
Your audiobooks are read by Daniel York Lowe. We actually specifically requested him. He is a actor, obviously, and also a writer. And he wrote a play that we got to go see. So we've met him in real life, and he does all of our audiobooks. So we're so glad that you're listening to it. Hope you're enjoying it.
That sounds wonderful. Yeah, we do love audiobooks as well as, reading the paper books, especially in lockdown. Sometimes it's really nice to just listen to something while you're having your cup of hot chocolate or something.
Yeah.
So one of the first questions that's come in is, I must tell you about the comment about the story that you were telling about the glitter mounting. We've got one from Olivia Bandon. You need to publish this book, she says. It's going to be awesome. Glitter snake volcano with octopus arms. Love it. So I think we've got a fan for that one. So Olivia also asked, do you have a pet like Lucy and Sam do?
Oh my goodness. We don't have a pet at the moment, but we do have a 1.5-year-old baby, and she is a dream.
So it takes a lot of our attention. And actually, when I was little growing up, my little brother had a snake who really inspired
Ooh.
Fang. My brother's snake was named Rosie.
Ah.
She was a rosy boa. And I also had an English Mastiff, which is a really big dog. So Kevin and I don't currently have one. We live in an apartment in London, so a bit tricky to have
Yes.
a
Yeah.
big animal. Usually when you're allowed to do lots of traveling, we do sometimes go to the States to see family, or we will travel to schools and libraries. So a bit hard to look after an animal. Maybe one day. Our little girl loves cats and dogs, or as she calls
Oh,
them, meows
nice.
and woof woofs. So
Yeah. So you get to enjoy them in the book as well, don't you? The fact that you've got Butterbots
yeah,
and Fanny in the book. So
Butterbot is
they're like your pets, aren't
Yeah.
they?
My sister who lives in California has a cat, and we call the cat as a joke Butterbutt, and so then we thought it would be funny to name Sam's cat also Butterbutt. So
I do like that name.
yeah.
So let's move on a tiny bit. Is Lucy, who is Sam's little sister, is she ever going to go on her own adventure without Sam?
I mean, maybe one day. Lucy already is having lots of adventures. I think if you like Lucy, the best book to read with Lucy is Sam Woo's Not Afraid of Spiders. Gives a really good insight into Lucy's
thank
personality.
you.
And so does Sam Woo is Not Afraid of Ghosts. Those two probably feature Lucy the most.
Yeah, and you can definitely see in Spiders, like Lucy's always out on her own adventures without Sam, and I'd actually love to write a book about Lucy.
Yeah, we love. She's one of our favorite
I
characters.
I was wondering when that question came up whether Lucy would have her own book, So who knows? Another question that I had actually, you've obviously wanted to go to space camp, which we know because you've said already, well, Kevin did. And I was wondering, if you could go to space, what planet would you go to?
Oh my goodness. They're all pretty harsh environments. But I think
Yeah.
there's something cool. I don't know. I'd really like to go to Neptune. I don't know why, but Neptune I know it's far away, but something about Neptune just sounds mysterious and fun.
Quite intriguing.
I think I'd like to just go to the moon. I would like to go to the
Yeah.
moon and see Earth from the moon and walk on the moon. And then that's as far as I would like to go.
Yeah. I think I like to look at the moon from my front garden, to be fair. But going into space would be an adventure, wouldn't it, for sure.
Before I lock up my answer, I think also maybe Jupiter, though. I think Jupiter actually has like many, many moons, and it'd be really cool to see like multiple moons in the sky.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it would. And Mars, I know we're getting closer to going on to Mars, aren't we? So who knows?
So exciting.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Now we have got a food question as well, which I did see.
We love writing about food. It's one of our favorite things that we like to write about.
I kind of picked up on that. In fact, if I can just get the banner up that says about, well, I'll show it a bit later. Oh yeah, so one of the things that we often do in Library Adventures Live is we talk about biscuits. Sometimes we ask authors, what biscuit would you be? If you were a biscuit, what biscuit would you be? And that was inspired by a group of young volunteers who we were working with every week when we weren't in lockdown. So we often have biscuits talked about, as you've gathered already. So which biscuit would you take to space with you?
Ooh, go ahead.
What I love the most is Oreos. Love Oreos. I love dipping them in milk. It has to be dipped in milk, and that would be. I would love to have that in space, though. I'd have to figure out
And not have the milk go everywhere.
Maybe I'd have milk floating, and I would dip it in a floating ball.
I like that. I love my favorite. I don't even know if this is I still sometimes get a little confused about biscuits and cookies, but I love chocolate chip cookies, which I guess are hopefully count as biscuits. I also love, and it's the season, I love gingerbread. Love gingerbread. Honestly, I like all biscuits, but I love the gingerbread definitely. I would like, now I want a little gingerbread spaceman.
Yeah. That would be lovely. I'd almost forgotten about gingerbread, but now you've said that, yeah, I can feel my tummy rumbling already. I love gingerbread biscuits. I was thinking maybe, I hadn't decided. I was thinking about 10 different biscuits, and I don't think I can take all of them, so I'll have to go away and narrow it down. So we have a question from Bitter Lemonade saying, if someone could only ever read one Sam Woo book, which one should they read? I think that must be an almost impossible question to answer.
So we get asked this a decent amount, and here's how I will break them down. Kevin, you can say if you disagree. I would say Sam Woo is Not Afraid of Sharks, has the most facts. So if you like facts, Sam Woo is Not Afraid of Spiders, is probably the funniest one. Sam Wu is Not Afraid of Zombies, has my favorite illustrations out of all of the series.
Oh, I love zombies as well because it's set during Halloween, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think Sam Wu is Not Afraid of Space. I used to say Sam Wu is Not Afraid of Ghosts had the best mystery, but now I think Sam Wu is Not Afraid of Space has the best mystery. So it really depends on what you like. And I think that Sam Wu is Not Afraid of the Dark is one of the more exciting ones. So they all have different things to appeal to different types of readers. I think if you had to absolutely choose one, I don't know, maybe dark for me.
I love the dark. I love zombies. I love them all.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I think if you could just, and it's hard though because I love the dark, but the dark doesn't have that much Lucy. And like I said, Lucy's our favorite character. It's too impossible. Like I said, those are the different ones have, what's nice is you can read them in any order and individually. So it really just depends on what your interests are.
Pick the one that grabs you.
I think so too. And I think the one that grabs you means that then you want to read all the other ones too, because they're such good fun to read. And Sam's such a lovely character, and all his friends as well. There's such a great group of, there's so much teamwork between them and everything. And then obviously there's Lucy and there's Fang and there's Butterbutt. So there's lots there.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing if there's, we are loving the books. And somebody did say as well, the multi-access trainer is definitely one of my fears that obviously they probably didn't have until they've seen that. But I think it would be, like you said, a bit like a roller coaster. Yeah. And if you feel like it's a challenge and it's fun, it's probably great. So we've not got masses of time. And so any other questions that come in, we'll forward them on to you without a doubt. And people can just remember to have a look at all the Sam Wu books that we'll have on our Overdrive account. So just go to the Kirklees Libraries website. And I just wanted to bring up your website as well, which I thought I put on a banner.
Tsang.com.
But let me just have a look. It might have gone into the other one. Let me just type it in now for us, because I was going to ask you a question. What is next? I know you mentioned about Dragon Realm. Was it?
Yeah.
Dragon Realm? So I thought, there we are. That's fantastic.
So Sam Wu is for now. I'm complete with 6 books. But look how nice they all look together. So nice. We love seeing them all together. But we just launched a new series. The first book for that new series came out in September. Can you want to talk about Dragon Mountain?
Yeah, of course. Dragon Mountain. It was a hugely exciting book for us, right? We spent a lot of time brainstorming like we did and like we showed you earlier. And Dragon Mountain is about 4 kids from all over the world, and they all meet at a camp in China.
A summer camp.
And they find they find dragons locked in a mountain behind camp.
And the dragons need their help. So this one is a little bit more fantastical. It's geared slightly older than Sam Wu, but whereas Sam Wu is very much, grounded in reality. And Sam Wu is also first person, so it's from Sam's voice. And Sam is, a little, I'd say Sam Wu's books are a little probably funnier, but Dragon Mountain is probably more exciting because, again, dragons. And there's going to be 5 books in the Dragon Realm series. So Dragon Mountain is already out, and Dragon Legend, the second one, comes out in March. And then the third one will be out in September again. So the books are coming out pretty quickly. So that we're currently working on the 3rd Dragon Realm book right now, which are a lot of fun. But I'll admit, I miss Sam Wu. I love writing Sam. He's such a fun character to write. His voice is so fun. So maybe one day we'll go back to Sam Wu.
I was going to say maybe we'll see Sam Wu at another time.
Yeah,
maybe we'll see him at some holiday or something. I'm not sure. Yeah.
But I feel so grateful to have 6 Sam Wu books. So thank you to all the readers and librarians and teachers for supporting the books.
They are fantastic. So I'm afraid we're starting to get close to our hour up. So I'm going to just come a bit bigger on screen. We've got katieandkevintsang.com there, so you can keep up with what Katie and Kevin are doing. You can find out lots more about the Sam Wu books if you choose to. And again, you can go to our Overdrive account, just go to the Kirklees Library website, and you'll be able to borrow some books as well. So I just want to say that's been so great. I've really enjoyed that so much. I mean, I love the Sam Wu book. and Samwoo Goes to Space particularly, I mean, it's awesome. And his space food, I'd never even thought about space food, especially broccoli in a tube. I wasn't convinced by that, but I'd try anything. So, and I thought your tips on finding inspiration in the everyday is a lovely one for everybody watching, because we're in lockdown, so it could be just inspiring to look around your room, or when you go for a walk, or when you get to the park. So I thought that was amazing, and writing stories, and I can't wait to get going with some of that and putting a big sheet of paper on my wall and then drawing some characters and stuff. So what I'm going to suggest that we'll put those up on our website. So all the things that you've talked about, the hints and tips for writing, creating stories, we'll put a little list up on our website so people can go and visit again and have a look at those. So let's just have a think about next week. I just wanted as well to say an enormous thank you, obviously. I don't know why I didn't start with that, but I'll probably keep saying it now. So an enormous thank you to you both for coming on and joining us at Lal. It's been just inspiration.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's been inspiration. Oh, we've got an idea for a book called Samwoo is Not Afraid of Glitter Snakes now. I think we've got a bit of a glitter thing going on there. I just want to thank everyone for sending in the comments to us as well, and the questions that they've asked, because that's made it even more entertaining as well, hearing about all the different fears that people have. It just shows you the breadth of things that people might be a little bit afraid of, and we can all learn from Samwoo to get brave and face some of the things that we think that we're afraid of. So next week, Tuesday the 15th of December at 11 a.m, we're going to be welcoming a multi-award-winning illustrator and author called David Litchfield. And that's at 11 a.m, just in case I hadn't said that. His books include The Bear and the Piano, and The Bear, the Piano, and Little Bear's Concert, and that's just naming two of them. David's both a writer and an illustrator, and he'll be joining us live from his studio, and he'll be reading from his books, doing a draw-along, and much, much more. He'll be wearing his Christmas jumper, and I know that he's hoping that we're all going to be wearing our Christmas jumpers too. So I'm going to go off in a minute and start knitting one. I couldn't decide what to put on my Christmas jumper. I thought maybe I'd put a reindeer on with a big red nose, but then I thought one of the things that I love at Christmas, as well as gingerbread, are Brussels sprouts. And not everybody doesn't like Brussels sprouts, but I really like them. So I might put some Brussels sprouts on my Christmas jumper. I don't know about you, Katie and Kevin. Do you have a Christmas jumper?
Well, I was going to say, we are big Brussels sprout fans.
Oh, yay.
And our baby actually loves Brussels sprouts. So that might be a win-win.
Yeah, I do like a Brussels sprout. Maybe you could do a Brussels sprout wearing a little Santa hat.
Oh,
or
that would be
an
nice.
octopus wearing a Santa hat, a glitter octopus.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to get glitter in that Christmas jumper. So again, if anybody has any questions for David at all, just send them to the usual place, which I'm just going to get our banner up again to get our email address, which is lal@kirklees.gov.uk. You can send those in now, and we'll save them and share them with David when he's live with us next week. So again, an enormous thank you to Katie and Kevin today for joining us with Lal. An enormous thank you to Samwoo is Not Afraid of Space, which was fantastic. And we hope to see everybody next week. So thanks again, and bye.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.